production. Hello there, Facebook world, Twitter, and YouTube. Live in the studio today, I got Victoria, Eloise in the house. And if you want, you guys should visit me online at jterrypresents.com. You can hit subscribe now. I promise you I'm not going to hit you with a ton of emails, but we'll send occasional emails and things like that. So subscribe there because Facebook is being weird. Hopefully you guys are seeing this video. Oops, and now I'm like talking back to myself here. Oh boy, here we go. Let me bring Victoria on. Hey lady, how are ya?
Hi. I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Look at me. I'm still screwed up here. Hold on a second. I'm just trying to, here we go. Trying to get this watch party going so we get some more viewers. Because Facebook, I think, is pushing the videos down a little bit, which is really frustrating.
For sure.
What happened in New York? Oh, it's great to start off with a question like that.
Yeah.
Oh boy, that's hot on the topic today. So just a real quick update about what happened in New York there was a hearing today in New York State for the medical exemption. So what is really crazy about this, in the state of New York, they took away the religious exemption to vaccination. And so parents who have children who have verifiable medical exemptions and written by doctors and verifiable medical exemptions are not able to take advantage of medical exemptions in the state of New York. There was a hearing today and it couldn't happen. They couldn't get it together. There's so many people joined the hearing that the judge, it kept beeping. And their system was antiquated. I'll give Connecticut this much. You know, our state's not perfect. We are in the belly of the beast. But the hearing for the mask lawsuit went without a problem. The court reporter the court clerk, was able to monitor everybody and make sure that there was, things were muted because in New York, they didn't have that. You called in and it was like people didn't know they were muted. So you either heard people talking or you heard the beeping. So when a judge or the lawyer tried to talk, there was, you couldn't hear anything really. So they decided to take the meeting off of the call, which upset a lot of people. So it was really interesting what happened after that. The people in New York started talking amongst themselves. So I did learn this for folks out there who want to know this about New York, I have family in New York and I definitely get active there. But there is a bill, 7573, to expand the medical exemption. There is a bill and it's moving and there's co-sponsors. So Rita Palma had suggested for all New Yorkers to reach out to their assemblymen and women and get them to support the bill 7573. That is, it's proceeding and it's moving along the legislative process. There was a little squabbling going on in the group. I think people are really upset. So this call was happening spontaneously. The judge, the lawyers, they all leave. And then all the people on the call stayed around, got that information that Rita had made that announcement in the call. And then some people are getting angry. And that got interesting. And then the call, it ended. So that was really pretty intense in New York today. So thank you for asking that, Melanie. I appreciate that because Victoria and I were just we were just getting into this conversation about New York and what you were telling me about. Talk about that story that you were telling me with the rabbi and the Orthodox Jews in New York.
Yeah. So there's been a lot of, which, personally I'm so proud of, and I honestly would love to take a page out of their playbook, but there was a rabbi who passed away, and gosh, forgive me, I can't at the moment think of his name, but I'm actually going to open this story. I just want to make sure I do it.
Yeah, I just jumped onto your Facebook page too. So I have that video that we could tap into and play a little bit as well if you want to.
Yeah. So I'll just do a quick rundown. So the protests came in response to the protests in New York and the protests by the Hasidic Jews and the Hasidic Orthodox Jews and their burning of masks. So the protest came in response to Andrew Cuomo's announcement Tuesday afternoon of new restrictions on a large swath of Brooklyn that is experiencing an uptick in COVID cases. I'm not going to go into that. His announcement followed a similar one by New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio, who on Sunday during the Jewish holiday, which is so awful, like on the Jewish holiday, you freaking do this? Are you kidding me? His announcement followed a similar one, by New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio, who on Sunday during the Jewish holiday, when Orthodox Jews do not use cell phones or computers, said he would move to close schools on Wednesday, pending the governor's approval. So during this holiday, these devout Jews, they don't use electronics, or they don't. That's part of their practice. But if this governor and mayor close all the schools, that kids can't learn from home, or they will be breaking their faith, which Hasidic Jews don't do. They don't mess with their faith. And so for that to be and it's so illegal. It's so illegal for them to do that, not just constitutionally. There's all sorts of religious laws on religions that are being violated. And so, and I'll just say this quickly, the governor informed Jewish community leaders in a conference call that synagogues in red zones would be permitted to operate at a 50% capacity, and he requested community cooperation.
Wow.
Outrageously, just hours later, Governor Cuomo announced a draconian return to restrictions that would shutter thousands of New York businesses and limit houses of worship to a maximum capacity of 10. And I'll just say about the rabbi, so these hot orders are coming out, and people of faith are already upset, given it's their holiday, and so a beloved Jewish rabbi dies, and there was a massive gathering for his funeral, and Bill de Blasio sends the cops in, and it was, you can watch the video on YouTube, but it was angry, and they didn't go in there nicely. And so a bunch of the Jewish people who were there left and went to, not too far away area and started burning masks. And it went from like 10 people to pretty much everyone that was at the funeral. And it was cool. It was just cool to see a huge pile of masks burning. And anyone can find that footage on the internet. So
wow.
Power to the Jewish people.
That's pretty. That is absolutely pretty wild. I'm just blown away by that. Wow.
Yeah.
So it's like, the thing that what I appreciate about our discussions too is that we tap into the whole idea of, well, it's not an idea. It's written on our Constitution. It's written in our Constitution, our Bill of Rights. It's codified. It's there. It's basic law about the government's role in our life and our ability to assemble, to freedom of religion and expression, and where these governors are encroaching upon these inalienable rights. And that's the beauty of what our Constitution recognizes, that these are inalienable God-given rights. They're not, it's not like the government said, hey, Lamont said, hey guys, I decided that today I'm going to give you this right, which is what they're doing. They're every day when the Cuomo or Lamont gets on his press conference and sits there and dictates what right we get to have to keep us safe. That's a slippery slope that we find ourselves in today, that freedom is being sacrificed for safety. And it's extremely deeply disturbing.
And it's not just the Constitution. It's their like other laws, the free exercise clause, the Religion Restoration and Freedom Act, I think it is. We're going to go through that. And
Yeah, I got that right. I got that right over here too with the video. That's got the copy of the video in it, that post. So I can even pull that up if you want me to.
Sure. So,
Let's pull that up.
are we
Hold on a
talking
second.
about the most recent post from yesterday?
This one
Where
is the religious. This one, October 7th. What day is it? Today's the 10th. It's today the 9th. Yeah. So it was a couple days ago. So this is the October 7th. This is excuse me, it's blocking me a little bit from being able to see it. Hold on a second. Let me grab it in here. You guys seeing that? Yes, you are. Okay, so I got it. Let me just pull it up. Hold on a second.
This little pile doesn't do justice to what it became. This was kind of at the beginning of the protest burning of masks.
So I clicked on it. It's taking me over to YouTube. So let's take a quick peek at this little video, and then we'll get into some of the law that you found. Here it goes, guys. Can you hear this? Is this coming through? It's here it goes. So oops, sorry guys, let me get out of there. Let me get out of YouTube. It's going to start another video right away. Okay, wow, that's pretty intense.
Yes.
That's pretty intense.
And so if you want to just click on, my most recent post, it says 15 hours ago.
15 hours ago, let me see. Okay, here we go. Memorandum for all executive departments and agencies.
Yes,
the Attorney General. Okay, let's pull this up right here.
Yes, so we can just jump right to the first picture because we'll go through that memorandum. But
his new executive order from Governor Lamont
from yesterday. And who knows? I really believe he's going to seek to extend. That's why there are all these lies about spikes in cases and all these horrible things, these horrible new things going on with COVID, because he wants to extend his powers and he wants to, anyways. So he issued this executive order yesterday, and it is protection of public health and safety during COVID-19 pandemic. Phase 3 reopening changes for religious gatherings. And so this is just a bunch of lies, this first picture here. So if you want to go to the second picture.
Hold on a second. Let me just zoom out here. A bunch of lies. Hold on a second. Sorry, guys. Well, I'm able to zoom in so I get a closer look so that the audience could read it, but then it slows me down a little bit. So bear with me.
Yeah.
So hopefully I didn't jump ahead of myself. Oh, it kicked me right out. No. Okay. So this is still the executive order? This is...
Yes. This is page 2.
Page 2.
Where it says now, therefore.
Yeah. Okay. That's
okay.
Where... Okay.
So, it just says effective October 8th, executive order number 7 TT, I think it says. Yeah. Section 2 is amended to provide that religious, spiritual, and worship gatherings, if held indoors, are limited to no more than 50% of the building's capacity, or a maximum of 200 people, whichever is lower, and such services, if held outdoors, are limited to the number of people that can be accommodated safely, blah, 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 blah. The provision of Executive Order 7XX, Section 1 and 2, regarding drive-in religious and graduation ceremonies shall remain in effect. So I mean, the restrictions have been, just the idea of, even the sentence, like, drive-in religious worship, like,
what is it even, like, what is he talking about?
Yeah, it's bananas. And so for religion, like for worship, there's some stuff you can't like mess with. There's some really big stuff in the Constitution that when the founding fathers set this up, in motion, there was a couple freedoms that they were like, you can't mess with. And religion is one of them, they wanted to be able to worship their own, because the kings and queens of England were so crazy about who could worship and what, and so when the founding fathers broke away from that, freedom of religion was like one of the fundamental rights of our Constitution. Everybody wanted to put that in. and so for them to be talking about things like drive-in worship, it's really frustrating. So yeah.
Wow, that's pretty. It's over the top. It really is. It's over the top what they're what Lamont is pulling here. And just to take us back for a second. Hey folks, by the way, Victoria's video that she did on the semaphore, the lobbying, the testing. Here's something really interesting, and God, his name is slipping my brain right now, but the inventor of the PCR test, I can't think of his name right now. If anybody knows and they want to put it in the comments, my husband's out there watching, you want to put that in the comments. I forget the name of the guy's name. The guy's name who did the PCR test. Interestingly, he died right before all this happened. He was 74 years old. That's an interesting fact. But his thing is that you can't, the test will find anything in the body that you blow it up for. So that corona, is something that it's very common, to have coronaviruses all the time that we've had all our lives.
We've been living them with them. And I think the gentleman's name is Carrie Mullis.
Yes, Tim just put. Thank you, babe. He just posted that, Carrie. So if you guys haven't seen any videos by him, I highly suggest that you go check out his work. Carrie Mullis, thank you guys so much. I appreciate that. Go check out his work because he's the inventor of the PCR test. And then there was just a great article that came out of Unbound from James Lyons Weiler. So James Lyons Weiler is a scientist, and he does now I'm forgetting his publication. He does a blog, and he did an interview with Dr. Sin Lee, who's out of Milford, Connecticut. Science Unbound is the blog. And I had posted it not that long ago. I wish I had the link that I could share now. But Sin Lee, this article is pretty in-depth, so I don't want to massacre it. But go check that article out because what he's saying is the same thing. They've never isolated the novel COVID virus. They've never isolated it. They have not found it. And the tests are all just, they're bogus. These are bogus tests, guys.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so so if you want to go to the next picture, and we'll just go through this quickly.
Here, let me get the screen up. Oops, wrong. I want to get back onto you. Sorry, guys, I'm slipping up here a little bit. There we go. We want you there, not me. So let me just blow this up. I'm going to blow this up. This is cool that I could blow it up, so hopefully I don't lose it so you guys could read it along too. All right, there we go. So I'm on the highlighted part here. This is a memorandum for all executive departments and agencies, the Attorney General.
Yes, this is from President Trump. This was issued May 2017. And so the president has instructed me to issue guidance interpreting religious liberty protections in federal law. I am issuing this memorandum and appendix to guide all administrative agencies and executive departments in the execution of federal law. Governor Lamont's office is an executive, as I'm sure all of your listeners know, the rule makers are the executive departments. So they talk about, it's a great quote from James Madison, is excuse me, is in nature, as James Madison explained in his Memorial and Remonstrance Against Religious Assessments, the free exercise of religion is in its nature an unalienable right, because the duty owed to one's Creator is precedent, both in order of time and in degree of obligation. So religious liberty is not merely a right to personal religious beliefs, or even to worship in a specific sacred place. It also encompasses religious observance and practice. So, taking the example of the Jewish holiday where they can't use electronics, but then the governor is closing down schools, meaning kids will have to learn electronically, that is an infringement on that practice. No one should be forced to choose between living, except in the narrowest circumstances, which a false pandemic is not. No one should be forced to choose between living out his or her faith and complying with the law. Okay, that's perfectly said. Therefore, to the greatest extent practicable and permitted by law, religious observance and practice should be reasonably practicable and should be reasonably accommodated in all government activity, including employment, contracting, and programming. So, yeah, if you want to go to the next picture.
Hold on a second. I'm just going to look because I got it nice and blown up. There we go. I'm doing good today. I'm doing good. Don't want to lose the screen, so bear with me, guys. Here we go. All right. So I'm going to blow it up again, too, so we can really, so the audience can read along as well. Let me just get it a little bit more. There we go. All right, here we go. We're all set.
So, and I'll go through these quickly. The free exercise of religion includes the right to act or abstain from action in accordance with one's religious beliefs. The freedom of religion extends to persons and organizations. The free exercise clause protects not just persons, but persons collectively exercising their religion through churches and other religious denominations. So a congregation, you can't close their churches. Can't do it. To avoid the very sort of religious persecution and intolerance that led to the founding of the United States, the free exercise clause of the Constitution protects against government actions that target religious conduct. Except in rare circumstances, government may not treat the same conduct as lawful when undertaken for secular reasons, but unlawful when undertaken for religious reasons. So I'll just give you an example here, but Governor Lamont has talked about how, and he got a lot of pushback for this, and the pushback has kind of died, which is unfortunate, but he said that Black churches, Black leaders of faith should lead the vaccine movement, and that he would hope to use Black churches to distribute vaccines. So him keeping churches closed to worship, but opening them for vaccine distribution is beyond illegal. You can't do it. So, next picture.
Yeah, he really upset the Black community here in Connecticut with that as well. Like, that is just
why do they have to be expected to open their freaking churches?
That's crazy.
For vaccine administrators, but not churchgoers. That makes no sense.
No, it doesn't. So I see that I'm on the right page here. The Religious Freedom Restoration Act of 1993, which I didn't even know about this. So I love when you pull up this research. Thank you so much, because
my pleasure.
There, I think that's one of the what we're lacking in these days is the media. The media is dysfunctional and is not fully sharing with us this important and pertinent information this is public information, guys. It's not this is not conspiracies, this is not lies, this is not fanaticism. This is just the
It's
truth.
from the Department of, this from the Attorney General, the President. A lot of my legal documents come from the Department of Homeland Security, intelligence.senate.gov, hsac.gov. You know, these are like these are legal statutes and briefs. And when people know the law, I think it empowers them.
Absolutely.
And because we're made, us regular people are made to feel like we're incapable of understanding law. Laws for lawyers. No. So, and I think it's really important to just, you know, because it's one thing for me to be like, for a person to say, oh, it's illegal. You know, well, anyone can say that. So it's important to put the legal guidelines and laws in with these claims so that people can see for themselves. Oh, that is illegal. You know? So the religious, I won't read the whole thing here, but the Religious Freedom Restoration Act of 1993 prohibits the federal government from substantially burdening any aspect of religious observance or practice unless imposition of that burden on a particular religious adherent satisfies strict scrutiny. Now, I know they say the federal government here, but states are subject to, you know, if you have a state action and a federal law that encompasses that state action, the federal law trumps the state action. So if someone ever brought to court, which I really think, you know, the way to go after these guys for big things is I mean, of course, religious freedom is a huge thing to violate, but if I was Attorney General Barr, okay, I would go after Lamont for a violation of the freedom or the free exercise clause, because that's like very clear. You are burdening religion, and once the doors are open, you take them for everything else. You know, you investigate everything else. You're in the door with the free exercise clause, and once you're in the door, that's all you need. And so for this to be, and so for the black, like, if this issue was brought before the Supreme Court, I have no doubt that they would rule in favor of the federal government. Unfortunately, we're not going to see it right now because we're only 25 days from the election. But so it's not just the First Amendment. There are other laws applying to religious freedoms that are just,
I think too, just to bring this into the picture as well, I think that lately it seems that religious freedom and spirituality and people who are following different sects of religion, I think there's in our culture lately is a downgrading of that right, like as if it's a superfluous right, or it's not very important because there's a lot of people who are like secular and don't really are atheist or agnostic, right? And they think, oh, that's just nonsense, hokey pokey. Your opinion in this doesn't matter really, because for many people it's not some hokey pokey thing, and who are you to decide how somebody expresses themselves spiritually and religiously? It's not anyone's business. The government doesn't get to decide that. The mad mob doesn't get to decide that. And I think there has been this, like, it's something that I've noticed over the last like 15-20 years. It's really gotten bad. Like people have such a disdain. If you say I'm going to go to church or I believe in God, people are like, oh, not everybody, but there's this kind of mentality lately in the mainstream culture that somehow religion is superfluous, not necessary, or there's some type of fanaticalism that is, the government doesn't have to honor or respect your religious rights. And I really noticed this in the medical freedom movement when, people are saying to us, and I've testified on more than one occasion up at the Capitol for religious medical freedom. Yeah. And it's saying like, how is this a religious thing? And I'm like, how is it not when my body is God-given, and how I see God is not the government's business, is not my neighbor's business. It's my relationship, my personal relationship, whatever church or congregation that I choose to be a part of. Those are the places that have a right to have that information, or that we celebrate that. But the government doesn't have a right to question you on that. And and they were saying, what was always being said with the legislators is like, you don't have a right to use the religious exemption. You don't have a right to proclaim a religion. You don't have a right to say that my body is God-given. My body is made in the image of God. Science is God, because God is nature, and nature and science are God.
Yeah.
And so, like, we could get into this all day long and get into a really deep philosophical debate, which is why in our Constitution,
I know it. Oh my God, we could go all day long, and because the issue of God and science, like that extends to all things. Like if you really want to talk about science and God, um, if you're following the science, there are no races. There is no white. There is no black. There is no Hispanic. We are one human race. Science says that we are all of one homeos, say race, like race, like we're all the same. Race is a socially constructed concept. And of course, it's used by the 1%, of course, to incite violence and race. I'm not saying racism is not real. Of course, of course.
Mm-hmm.
But if you really are following the science, like we are all the same, and God sees us all the same.
Yes.
If it's only the man-made concepts that get us in trouble. And so it's really, I see it as really like anything that is, whether it's God, whether it's education, whether it's uh, assembling, whether it's, I mean, a certain group of people really, they're not just attacking religion, they're attacking anything that could rise a group up.
Yeah.
Anything that can make people feel better or hopeful or whatever, they're attacking.
Yeah, they most certainly are. From churches to schools to small businesses, like, let's 60% of businesses will never open their doors again. I barely go to restaurants, and it was something I used to really love to be able to do, have a date night with my husband and be able to sit down and eat in one of my favorite restaurants. And like, they're destroying, in the name of safety, everything about our culture as a people, an eclectic people. They're destroying that. And I love what you brought up about we're the human race. And that is so true. We are the human race. If we need a blood transfusion, it doesn't matter the color of your skin. It matters your blood type. Is it going to match? So it's a tool to divide the country.
Divide and for them to, and it's only going to get worse.
Yeah, I agree with you on that.
This is a conditioning. Hitler didn't just put everyone in concentration camps right away. No, he slowly made this, concocted this air of hate for I mean, prior to that, I mean, of course, the Germans were stripped of their too much horrible things happened to the Germans also. And so I understand where that culture of fear was able to be cultivated. But it's a slow burn. And so it's like they're seeing what they can get away with now before you know it. Yes. Yeah. So, yeah. Next picture. Actually, we can skip over the next picture.
Hold on a second. Let me get back in there.
Yeah.
All right. So let me kind of get back in here. Sorry there, guys. I just got to click on that, and then there we go. Okay. So we're going to skip over the next picture.
Yes. Okay. And actually, we'll just, I'll just fly through these next two pictures because I would love to get to one other post. So this is just an article where, and anyone, I put all the links.
Let me just grab in there. My daughter was ringing my phone She knows I'm doing
Sure.
a live, but I sent her to the text thing so she could text me. It's what they do to me all the time. It's karma.
Oh, yeah.
I'm busy. I told you I had a live.
He's your mama.
Okay, let me pull this up so you guys can see this too. Here we go. So we're looking at this article here. Oh, my favorite guy.
It's just, why? Why should Black churches lead support for COVID-19? Why? And I'll just say this quickly. In the 50s, I'm sure you know about this, the CIA ran, it wasn't just the CIA, there were a lot of Black men and women who were basically stolen by the CIA. And mind control programs. I mean, this is common knowledge. My mom knew about it last night, and she's not like a truther. You don't have to dig for this information. Mind control, drug, all sorts of horrible things happened to people of color at the hands of doctors in the 50s, at the hands of the government. So there's this real angst towards doctors and government related medicine in the Black and brown communities. That's just a fact. Absolutely. And so for Governor Lamont, and that's still very at play today. Like, it's, even though it was in the 50s, it's a story that's been told and passed down, and rightfully so. Some horrible things were done. And anyone can go in and find information about this. And so for Governor Lamont to just be so insensitive and say Black churches should lead this, well, Black and brown people already have a distrust of medical personnel in certain ways. And so for him to say that, it's just, the concept of white privilege, it's sad, and I wish that wasn't even a term, but this is the white privilege shit people are talking about. How dare you say, like, have you read anything about Black and brown American history? Like, obviously not, or you would be more sensitive to comments like this. And so there were pastors and reverends who had a problem with this, and as they should have.
Yeah, absolutely. I have a video of that, of the press conference. I'll play that another time because I know we don't have a lot of time, but I have a video of that with Dr. Erin Lewis and the attorney Trisha, oh gosh, her last name is slipping me, but her civil rights attorney. Both were up at the Capitol, and I have a video of that up on YouTube.
I saw your video. I did a love.
Oh, yeah. So I have that video. I'll share that, guys, and you can find that on the YouTube channel as well. I have just Trisha, actually, who that's up on YouTube. I have a cut with just Trisha, the civil rights attorney, and it's such a great video. It's about 4 minutes long. I wish I could easily shove the link in there for you guys, but it'll get too discombobulated live in real time. Just check it out on the YouTube channel. If you're on YouTube right now watching this live, you can find it in the later videos. It's probably about a couple weeks ago that I had posted that, and it says that the title is about Lamont wanting to get into Black churches to get folks to take this experimental vaccine, and the whole ridiculousness of that, and Lamont's interesting past is that he's a snake. And before he ran for senator, he was part of the Roundtree Country Club in Greenwich, which was criticized. He was criticized heavily for being a member of, because it's an exclusively white country club. And his response about that was like, this is what he says. Well, you just have to have a lot of money to be, that's for people who have like a lot of money or something to that effect. He said it in a way that would have been like publicly, it still was squeamish. You know what I mean? Like he said, oh, just really rich people in there, and he dropped out of the club. He dropped out of the club because he was an active member.
You don't know that he really did.
I don't think he did, because he he talked about how his children learned to swim there, and they would gather there, and they would do, that's their social club. That's in Greenwich. That's what they do. They hang out in Greenwich. It's a big old club, and we ain't in it.
And you know what leads me to believe that he did not? I had posted this. He wrote an executive order saying that private country clubs were no longer required to sign, like when guests would attend, guests have to be logged in. They have to sign that's like a policy. I worked for 7 years in a private country club, and um and he like did away with that rule. Like,
What?
yeah, oh God, executive order.
He just did this for his country
No.
club?
This is early on. This is early on, months ago.
So my question is,
Yeah.
so in the recent, like when I mean recent, like the last 8 months that we've been in this COVID hell, he made an executive order for country clubs not to have to follow a certain procedure. Folks, guys, do you realize this has nothing to do with about a virus and has everything to do about control and manipulation? Because that's BS.
Executive Order 7RR.
7RR. I gotta check that out. 7RR. Isn't that funny that it's RR? Isn't that funny? Rest and relaxation for the governor.
Yeah.
Not for you. Yeah. Not for me.
So, waiver of requirement for guest books at private clubs. So section 3023A, because it's law. It's law that guests have to sign in to private country clubs. It's a way of tracking. I don't know how rich people do, but so 3023A is a Connecticut general statute, and it is suspended.
What?
And therefore, nonprofit clubs and golf country clubs shall not be required to maintain a guest book with information about members' guests.
That is, oh my God.
Because he wanted to keep drinking and keep smoking cigars and keep conspiring about how to end the world in his Greenwich country clubs, and he didn't want to wear masks. He doesn't want his friends to wear masks, so he suspended so he waived the requirement for logging.
Wow.
If we're not allowed to even go to our place of worship, but you can go to your country clubs with your rich friends and drink brandy and talk about, and it's banana.
So this is just for anybody who just popped in. So, Executive Order 7RR. Interesting how the Holy Spirit gives us truth, right?
May 21st.
May 21st. I'm going to write that down too. I just find it so funny that it's 7RR, So, Governor Lamont's shutting down churches, but private country clubs don't have to keep a reporting of who's coming into their club to hang out during the COVID. That's your governor, Connecticut. That's your freaking governor. That is unfreaking believable. Unbelievable, people. And you know something? I've had people people I've known who've been mad at me and unfriended me because I won't stop talking about how terrible this is. And then they're ignorant. You know something? It's ignorance. How could you turn a blind eye to this information? Thank you so much for what you do. I appreciate you so much for bringing this stuff up to the surface.
I check every other day to just, honestly, sometimes for good laugh. And when I saw 7R, I burst out laughing. I needed that. Because it was like, are you insane? Wow. Like, you have to make an order for that? You don't have to make an order for that. You're going to lie and not, but for them to just be so oblivious to like, oh, well, so why are you even going to private country clubs? They shouldn't even be open. Like, if our shit isn't open.
Why is yours?
Yeah.
This isn't about a virus, guys. It's not about your health. It's about control. It's about control. It's technocracy, okay? It's technocracy. If you're not following Patrick Wood, I highly recommend checking out his work. I've got him in my mind because I was just all over his website the other day. Anyway, not to get too far off track. So Executive Order 7RR, did not know he did that. So glad that came up in conversation. Because I know that his country clubs, Governor Lamont's country clubs are all open. He can gather at them without limits and without anybody contact tracing their rich butts. But you, me, any church or synagogue or religious organization or school or whatever, you're up for grabs. The elites, not so much.
Yeah.
Wow. Just unbelievable. Unbelievable. All right. I know we're running low on time here, so we'll keep.
we can close out of that post. There's just a couple more pictures about, 1 in 5 churches may not survive, blah, 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 blah. But I do want to spend like the last 15 minutes or 10 minutes on this post right below it.
Yeah, okay, hold on a second. Let me just get in there. So the post right below it. So that would be corrupt politicians in the corporate state?
Yes.
Oh, boy. Okay, let me get right in that, guys. Hold on a second. Let me make sure that I have correct access. There we go. No, I don't want to. I just want to get into the post. There we go. Okay, so I'm ready. I'm on the first slide here.
Yeah. So I'm just going to read. So corrupt politicians in corporate, and I've talked about this before, in corporate state personnel. I just want to make sure I say here, there are 2 types of state personnel. There are the normal, hardworking, not get paid shit state staff, okay, that work their asses off and get taken advantage of just like the rest of us. And then there are corporate state personnel, the ones who steal all the money, the legislators, the people who work, who the CEOs, the CFOs, the heads, the Department of Public Health head, the Department of Ed head. Those are the corporate. Anyone who gets paid an exorbitant amount of money at the state, that's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about like the awesome workers who do their jobs just like everybody else. So personnel have been embezzling and laundering Connecticut federal aid dollars for decades. Roughly 80%, so it's between 75 and 80. Roughly 80% of all federal financial assistance to Connecticut, to the Department of Social Services, Department of DECD, Department of Transportation, DOC, Department of Ed, or DCF, Department of Labor, literally gets stolen by corrupt politicians and corporate state staff. Corrupt, mainly Democratic Party officials. They push for social services programs, not because they want to help like you and me or the poor, because they do it because they want to steal the poor's money. So that's just how it works. If you've ever wondered where are these people getting so rich? Public service, you're not supposed to make a lot of money. They're stealing the federal aid. The feds know this. This has been going on for a long time. The general public doesn't know. So think about it. Why does everyone hate going to the DMV? Why are the wait times outrageous? Why is state healthcare so criminally negligent? Why are thousands, way too many thousands? Now, I have personal experience with this. I have been a trauma a clinician for survivors of trauma children. I've worked with adults. I've worked with all sorts of drug abusers, mental health problems, a lot of children who have been, what does everybody know about the system? The system, it's horrible. It ruins children's lives. Why? If so many billions is going to it, why are state homes and nursing homes so filthy and understaffed? Why is toxic, and this is all entirely verifiable, why is toxic sewage water, this is absolutely true, why is toxic sewage water flowing through prisons? It is. It's killing inmates. And why? Because the financial aid for these programs and services, the money the feds send, the money you pay in tax, they steal it. So none of this money that comes, the billions of dollars that comes in every year to make these programs sustainable and maintainable and better and efficient, never goes to the programs. They steal it. So we'll fly. We're not going to read this first picture here. It just talks about public corruption, which is a huge problem for the FBI. I'll just say with this really quickly. Kleptocracy literally means literally meaning the rule by thieves, is a form of political corruption in which the ruling government seeks personal gain and status at the expense of the governed. Through graft and embezzlement of state funds, corrupt leaders amass tremendous amounts of wealth at the expense of the broader populace. That is a huge problem in America. They're not talking about foreign governments. I mean, I'm sure they are including them, but this is happening here, and we don't talk about it. Next picture.
Wow, the kleptocracy. That's a new word for the vocabulary, guys.
Oh,
whoops. I'm sorry. I just lost everything trying to blow that up. Hold on a second. Now I've got a blank screen. Bear with me, guys. Sorry about that. Here we go. Let me see if I can. I'm having trouble blowing it up the way it was before. Here we go. Let me see if I can get it there. Here we go. All right, go ahead.
So, are you on the page with, it's like a typed
Yeah, it looks
there?
like this was
Okay.
a note.
Yeah, so I'll just read this. I speak from personal experience regarding the severely, often criminally negligent nature of state services programs. Actually, that's what started all this. I did not start as a watchdog. I was never, prior to February 2020, I was not doing this. The care that I was receiving, the health care, was so criminal. Like, doctors manipulating records, doctors withholding records, doctors violating HIPAA. And I had just received a master's degree in clinical psychology. So I had been trained in HIPAA for 2 years. So I'm watching these, and I study everything that I don't understand. And so they're giving me false tests and they're upcoding and doing all these crazy things. So that's what started this. I just wanted to understand, why are these state doctors allowed to break these laws as if these laws don't exist? And so I started researching money in Yukon, and here we are. So I received state aid. I'm not on disability, which there's nothing wrong with being on disability. If you got to do it, you got to do it. I'm not ready to go on that yet. I'm not ready to, though I am disabled, I'm not ready, but I do get $200 a month, or I was getting it. And I'm very grateful to taxpayers for giving me that money. So this is a letter I sent to DSS after weeks of dropped calls. And so, when you call, actually, we can go to the next picture, and it'll
Hold on a second. Let me just
there.
get in here. Just bear with me. Hopefully I don't lose the screen this time, guys. Here we go. Bear with me here. Live in real time. Okay, this is the Department of Social Services I'm looking at.
Yeah, so the Department of Social Services, they don't, so when they say, while callers can still get through to speak to an eligibility service worker during business hours, they may experience a long pause after selecting this option. That's a lie. Because when you call, I have been calling for weeks. All 12 field offices of the DSS are closed. Nothing's open. When you call, it doesn't matter how many, you may do a sneak, because there's so many options you could press, press 1 if you press 3. So I literally would spend 2-3 hours just clicking different options, and on the luck of actually getting through, you'll be on hold for 2-3 hours. And then you'll eventually hang up. Nobody answers the phones. Or when you call, you put in the buttons, and then it'll just drop the call and be like, okay, which is outrageous to me. And especially if you go to the next picture.
Oops, sorry guys, hold on a second. I'll get the screen back here. There we go. Let me see, here we go. Okay, oh boy, this looks like open checkbook here.
Yes, so, sorry, bear with me. I'm just grabbing my chapstick here. So the these guys love their theft of choice is Medicare and Medicaid. Love stealing Medicare and Medicaid because there's no oversight. But these social services programs, there's zero oversight. When the feds send the money to the general fund, it comes in, and then it's like a bunch of crocodiles. You know, it's like an antelope being dropped into the river, and boom, everybody's coming around. All these crocodiles are coming around and just sweeping up illegally, sweeping up the money. And so, I mean, the Department of Social Services has received $2 billion. So received and expended. It hasn't gone to the programs. $2 billion since July 1st. $4.5 billion since March 10th, Lamont's declaration. They've received, when I did this post yesterday, they received $118 million in just 24 hours. And so, and one thing I want to point out here, do you see how all these say unreconciled?
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that.
So I'll just say this quickly. So it's a very simple process. There's a check is either reconciled or unreconciled. This is not just for the state. This is every business. This is every financial transaction ever. When money comes into the general fund for a specific thing, say the Fed sent a check to DSS, that check is unreconciled because it has yet to go where it was meant to go. A check becomes reconciled. We use the example of DSS. When DSS receives the money, logs it, and disperses it within the program. And so all the money gets where it was supposed to go. But because this money is never going where it was meant to, it sits unreconciled. These are all supposed to be reconciled. They were all supposed to have been gone. You know, that's how it works. You can go like all Anne Lamont's checks for CMO 4. Those are all reconciled. But they steal so much federal money. Look at this one right here. July 10th, $500 million unreconciled. Well, that's how much money they steal. Hundreds.
How did I get away with that? If I did that, my accountant would be like, "What the hell are you doing?"
People don't check open checkbook, nor should they have to. So if we just go to the next picture.
Oh my word! Hold on a second there, guys. Okay, we're on it.
So we don't have time to go through this, but where it says combating money laundering and other forms of illicit finance. So money laundering is a huge problem. And honestly, public officials do way more than drug traffickers. Way more. It's just true. Money laundering involves masking the source of criminally derived proceeds so that the proceeds appear legitimate. It's called washing or cleaning money, or masking the source of monies used to promote illegal conduct. Money laundering generally involves 3 steps: placing illicit proceeds into the financial system, layering, so separation of the criminal proceeds from their origin, or the use of apparently legitimate transactions to disguise the illicit funds. So when they say layering, they mean okay, you steal, so we'll use the DSS money. So they steal that $500 million. They can't just go put it in their accounts. So they have to have the money cleaned and washed by corrupt brokers, which there's no shortage of in this state. And they've been working with the same financial firms for years. So they literally, these people just embezzle and launder billions of federal aid dollars. So next picture.
Wow, I'm blown away by this. How are they getting away with this, guys? What we gotta this is is just unacceptable. I can't.
I
Oh
know.
my gosh. Okay, so here we are. Purchase of real estate and other assets. Oh boy.
Yeah, you know how I'm always talking about like why are these companies out of their homes? Like not regular companies, like nonprofits and things, businesses that are legitimate. Um, so this is page 6 of that document we were just. Now this is from the FBI. This was released in late 2018. So they're telling us like, okay, this is happening. They do it. So criminals also convert their illicit proceeds into clean funds by buying real estate and other assets. Foreign government officials, they could have just said government officials who steal from their own people, extort businesses, or seek and accept bribery payments in particular have also used this method to funnel their illicit gains into the US financial system. The flow of kleptocracy proceeds into the US financial system distorts our markets and threatens the transparency and integrity of our financial system. So if you go to the next picture, here's where it gets really juicy.
Oh boy. I thought that was pretty juicy. Oh boy, we're back on open checkbook here.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Jack Rubenstein.
You remember Jack Rubenstein,
Yes.
CT, CT. I'm sorry, bear with me. Okay. So as you can see, if you can blow this up, you don't have to, but Jack Rubenstein CT LLC has received $14.35 million from our COVID-19 FEMA package. Okay. Jack Rubenstein CT LLC is a shell entity. It is not a business. Okay. Corrupt state public officials and wealthy personnel have a long history of stealing federal aid dollars for the purposes of illicit investments. Take Jack Rubenstein CT LLC, for example. The company owner, Catherine Barlow, and we've talked about her name before, of the Barlow family, is a multi-millionaire political powerhouse in Connecticut. So with full government support, she does this. There's no way she could come in and steal federal aid without tons of corrupt politicians aiding in that sale. Now, so next picture. Okay. And I know I'm flying through this here, but
I know because we're keeping you. I know you got an appointment soon in like a minute or so.
I just texted her and said I would be a few minutes late. So
okay.
This is just so important.
It is important. I'm like, oh my gosh. I mean, this is really intense. This is.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I know. So this is a couple shots of Concord. One of them, so on the left, it says Jack Rubenstein CT LLC. You see that 122 Sherwood Drive?
Mm-hmm.
And then on the right is another one registered out of Catherine Barlow's home, 122 Sherwood, 3AI LLC. So these companies, these are not companies. These are shell entities. This is how this will house. Actually, in the next picture, I explain it perfectly.
Should I switch over to it?
Yeah, that'll be. So
this is solving investment complexity.
So we just saw the address for 3AI LLC, 122 Sherwood Drive, the same address as Jack Rubenstein, the stealer of the 15 million. So 3AI, and you can see it right here on the right, next to the arrow, it's a screenshot we just looked at, is an investment company, okay, that utilizes artificial intelligence to expand private investor stock portfolios. They are based out of the UK, not Glastonbury, Connecticut. The 3AI LLC out of Catherine Barlow, Jack Rubenstein CT LLC's home has the same registered address as, Jack Rubenstein. We just said that. The company laundering millions of COVID-19 FEMA aid. This is an example of investment securities and real estate fraud. So, and actually, and if you go to the next picture, so I'm sorry, not quite yet. Do you see on the left there? That's the 3AI website.
Hold on a second. Let me go back over here. So there's, oh, where is that? It's on the left?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay, so yeah.
The 3AI LLC is the one in Concord that's supposed to be out of this Glastonbury mansion. That's not, you can see on the left, this is their 3AI is a UK, like this is not a company out of Glastonbury. This is an artificial intelligence financial management company out of the UK. So, next picture.
Wow.
Now this is where I'll really, so this is, and I've posted about this before, and it's just one screenshot. The list is really long, but I didn't need to show the whole thing for the purposes of this discussion. So this is the registered PPE vendors list for the state of Connecticut, available for viewing on ct.gov. Notice that 3AI LLC is listed and illegally registered as a PPE vendor. Do you see that with the red arrow?
Yes, I do.
You see 3AI LLC?
Yep. Vendor, supplier.
So I'm just going to explain this real quick. So how does this work? Okay. So when the feds send money to Connecticut for PPE, or FEMA sends money to Connecticut for medical supplies, any state registered PPE vendor can get access to the money, has access. It's just corrupt politicians can get access. As seen in the screenshot prior, 3AI is not a PPE vendor. 3AI is an artificial intelligence investment firm based out of the UK, which Catherine Barlow of Jack Rubenstein CT LLC has invested money in. So federal money comes in and Barlow launders the money through corrupt brokers who clean, wash, and convert the money into an available form for purchasing 3AI stock. The stock can then be utilized as equity into her home, equity investment in her home. She could use it to upgrade, to whatever equity purchases, whatever she wants to use, because her home is registered as 3AI LLC. So even though it's a shell, the stock can be used, right? So whatever stock can be used as equity or whatever other illicit purposes she chooses. Barlow has full government support on these illicit actions. She could never get away with this if she didn't. Now, and we don't have to go back to it, but, and I had mentioned this before in the page before in a comment, the attorney, the registered agent for Catherine Barlow and Jack Rubenstein CTLC and all these illicit things is a woman named Pamela Reardon, and she is the commissioner of the New Britain Chamber of Commerce. And so for someone like that to be involved in these schemes, like it just goes to show how rampant and accepted it is.
Wow. I'm just so blown away. So I backtracked it to the other slide with the 3AI where it's saying we're founded by UK leading financial data science team. And, it's just, this is absolutely shocking. It's, and it's right in broad daylight, guys. Like they don't really care. And it's gotta stop. It's gotta stop. Wow. Wow. Again, you're blowing my mind.
I mean, that's not the only vendor on the list like that. There's multiple vendors attached to shells. And so, this is such commonplace that, I mean, this has been going on for decades, and COVID is a gold mine.
Yeah.
For one person to steal $15 million, like, that's a lot of money.
And it just to even to put perspective on this as well, I just saw this a couple of disturbing things. First of all, Jeff Bezos, who is the owner of Amazon, is in Connecticut, but he is making so much money off of COVID, as is
So
Bill Gates. And
so
all
much.
of these rich people, these investment companies, and here we're seeing it in Connecticut becoming vendors, right? Because here they're crying that they don't have enough PPE, that they're taking donations or going shopping in the grocery store or some store and they're like talking about how they need PPE and they need this and they need that. And
All the money.
wow.
They're stealing all of the COVID money. Like, there are billions of dollars has come into this state for COVID from the federal government. It should not be that people still don't have their unemployment money.
Yeah.
But and it's really hard for people to accept that that our officials could be stealing on this level, but they are.
They are. They're doing it, guys. There's the evidence. It's right there. Thank you again so much for the research that you do. I appreciate you.
And I just want to show really quick, if you go to the next picture.
Hold on a second. Let me just get back into the things where I can switch the picture. Hold on. And let me get that up here so you guys could see it. This is no, I'm sorry. I'm back to that other picture in the checkbook.
Oh yeah, no worries.
So this is this an aerial shot of a house?
Yes. So this is supposed to be 3AI LLC, and it's supposed to be Jack Rubenstein CT LLC, and it's supposed to be MFF LLC and JBB2 LLC. This is Catherine Barlow's home. Gorgeous mansion. Okay. All of these false fictitious shells are registered out of this home. Those are not operating businesses. They are shell entities for laundering money. This is very common to have this. I mean, it's so uncommon for a public official and a 1%er in our state, you know, Paul Manafort's for me. They're literally all Paul Manaforts. Like, that's just the way that it is. Like, they are. And so we don't have to go through it. Just the next two pictures are legal statutes, you know, about what they're doing is so illegal. Theft, so this is from the Department of Justice Archives, theft and bribery and federally funded programs. They are actively breaking this law. And then the next picture is, which we, you know, the feds or the DOJ also released this fraud and public corruption issue. This is pretty recent. So there are a lot of laws. So, and I'll just finish with this. Government corruption is rampant in our state. Every year, politicians and wealthy personnel steal, like, not like $100 million, like billions of dollars from hardworking taxpayers. They launder and transfer it to anonymous shell companies, mostly in Delaware. We've talked about Delaware, but honestly, all over the world. The feds know it. You know, becoming after, like, the grandfather of the U.S. You know, like, Connecticut has been around a real long time, so there are a lot of people you don't want to mess with here. And that's why it's gone so unchecked for so long, and that's why I really hope Donald Trump wins, because if he does, I really believe he's going to come in here and clean house. Like, he already has gone in and ridded Democratic strongholds of their corruption, and I'm hoping Connecticut is next on the list.
I hope so, for Connecticut's sake, that we can have some cleaning of corruption out of our state, because it's gotten so bad. And one of the things, and as a medical freedom activist in this state, that we know is that this is the biotech state too, you know, and we can all talk about Annie Hunter, Slamon, Oak. Guys, these are names you need to know. Thermo Fisher Scientific, Sema4, Oak Healthcare, FinTech. Know those names. Acclimate yourself to those companies. Know all the people involved with them. And let's bring this house of cards to its knees, because this is not what we are. This is not how we're meant to live. And if they succeed, masks aren't going away. You're going to be vaccinated like a freaking pincushion. Your kids are going to be vaccinated like a freaking pincushion. You're going to be masked up in the hospital to give birth to your children. The state is going to own every ounce of your body. Senator Anwar wants to get in your water well, okay? Senator Anwar wants in your water well. Oh, he's, you know something? Here, Connecticut, he is not even being opposed. He is running unopposed. This is a problem within the Republican Party in Connecticut that needs to be fixed, and it needs to be fixed pronto. How dare the Republican Party not run a candidate in every single race across the state? There has got to be somebody who could have run against Senator Anwar. So we're going to hand this elitist the keys to the district as a senator and as a leading member of the Public Health Committee who wants to get in your well for the Green New Deal. Yeah, because we can have a whole conversation about that as well. And let me tell you something. I love the earth, okay? No, I don't think we should be polluting the earth. Yeah. But the Green New Deal isn't about pollution. It's not about that. That'll be our next topic. That'll be our next topic. In Connecticut, it's the belly of the beast for all this crap, okay? And I know you gotta go. I appreciate you so much. We'll be live again next week. Somebody asked me recently, and I appreciate this. I'm working on it. So I want to put a calendar together and put it out there so people know when we're going to go live so they can plan it and go see it. I had somebody come up and say they really enjoyed watching our shows and I met them at the Capitol. So shout out to that family. They were beautiful. And shout out to, there's somebody who messaged me yesterday, and I want to get into this with you. As we get closer to the election, maybe we could really talk about this with voter rights. So I'm sorry if I'm forgetting your name. Shout out to Keith. I believe that was the person that sent it. Thank you for sending that. Please always send messages. I love to hear from you. Share your information. I love hearing what you guys know about, what you're finding. So that was really, really cool. So I really want to get into, because they want to go vote at the polls without a mask on. And this is something that's a topic that I think we should cover, and we should talk about what your rights are and point people in a direction to know the law and know their rights.
I would love to do that. I've been studying up on all my federal laws, you know?
Oh, I love it. Nice. Because this is a really important election, and I really think my personal opinion is go to the polls.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I volunteered at the polls. I know, at least in my town, volunteering at the polls was a wonderful thing to do if you can do it. I volunteered last year, and it was great the way they did it. They had like a double tracking system, and it was really cool. And I think that when you do it that way, when you're voting by, you fill out the paper, and then a machine counts it, and then they count both. They count the paper ballot, and they count the machine ballots as well. Mm-hmm. I think it's a pretty good system. I don't trust the mail-in voting at all, period. Zero, zilch, not at all. Not at all. Not for me. Going to vote in person. So that'll be a topic we got to cover. Thank you so much. Oh, yeah. I love you, beautiful lady.
Thank you to your listeners.
See you later. See you later.